Welcome everybody, this is Al with Daily Armour of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my Finishing the Bible in 1 Year project, and we are on day 156. We'll be doing Ezekiel chapters 21 and 22 today. So, thanks for joining me. I hope you're all doing well. So let's get right into it, shall we? The parable of the sword of the Lord. Ezekiel 21, verse 1. And the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face toward Jerusalem, and drop thy word toward the holy places, and prophesy against the land of Israel. And say to the land of Israel, Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, I am against thee, and I will draw forth my sword out of his sheath, and I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. Seeing then that I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked, therefore shall my sword go forth out of his sheath against all flesh from the south to the north, that all flesh may know that I, Jehovah, hath drawn forth my sword out of his sheath. It shall not return any more. Sigh therefore, thou son of man, with the breaking of thy loins, and with the bitterness sigh before their eyes. It shall be when that they say unto thee, Wherefore sighest thou? That thou shalt answer, For the tidings, because it cometh, and every heart shall melt, and all hands shall be feeble, and every spirit shall faint, and all knees shall be weak as water. Behold, it cometh, and it shall be brought to pass, saith Adonai Elohim. Again the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith Jehovah, say, A sword is sharpened, and also furbished. It is sharpened to make sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree. And he hath given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished, to give it into the hand of the slayer. Cry in house, son of man, for it shall be upon my people, it shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh, because it is a trial. And what if the sword contemn even the rod? It shall be no more, saith Adonai Elohim. Thou, therefore, son of man, prophesy and smite thine hands together, and let the sword be doubled the third time. The sword of the slain. It is the sword of the great men that are slain, which entereth into the privy chambers. I have set the point of the sword against all their gates, that their heart may faint and their ruins be multiplied. Ah, it is made bright, it is wrapped up for the slaughter. Go thee one way or another, either on the right hand or on the left, whithersoever thy face is set. I will also smite mine hands together, and I will cause my fury to rest. I, Jehovah, have said it. The word of Jehovah came unto me again, saying, Also, thou son of man, appoint thee 2 ways, that the sword of the king of Babylon may come. Both twain shall come forth out of one land, and choose thou a place, choose it at the head of the way to the city. Appoint a way that the sword may come to Rabbah of the Amorites, and Judah in Jerusalem the defenced. For the king of Babylon stood at the parting of the way, at the head of the 2 ways to use divination. He made his arrows bright, he consulted with images, he looked in a liver. At his right hand was divination for Jerusalem, to appoint captains to open the mouth in the slaughter, to lift up the voice with shouting, to appoint battering rams against the gates, to cast a mount and build a fort. And it shall be unto them as a false divination in their sight to them that have sworn oaths, but he will call to remembrance the antiquity, that they may be taken. Therefore thus saith Adonai Elohim, because ye have made your antiquity be remembered, in that your transgressions are discovered, so that in all your doings your sins do appear, because I say that ye are come to remembrance, ye shall be taken with the hand. And thou profane wicked prince of Israel, whose day is come when antiquity shall have an end. Thus saith Adonai Elohim, remove the diadem and take off the crown. This shall not be the same. Exalt him that is low, and abase him that is high. I will overturn it, and it shall be no more, until he come whose right it is, and I will give it him. And thou, son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith Adonai Elohim, concerning the Ammonites, and concerning their reproach. Even say thou, the sword is drawn, for the slaughter it is furbished, to consume because of the glittering. Whiles they see vanity unto thee, whiles they divine a lie unto thee, to bring thee upon the necks of them that are slain, of the wicked whose day is come, when their antiquity shall have an end. Shall I cause it to return into his sheath? I will judge thee in the place where thou wast created, in the land of thy nativity. And I will pour out mine indignation upon thee. I will blow against thee in the fire of my wrath, and deliver thee into the hand of the brutish men, and skillful to destroy. Thou shalt be for fuel in the fire, thy blood shall be in the midst of the land, thou shalt be no more remembered, for I, Jehovah, have spoken it. Ezekiel 22, verse 1. Moreover, the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Now, thou son of man, wilt thou judge the bloody city? Yea, thou shalt shew her all her abominations. Then say thou, Thus saith Adonai Elohim, the city sheddeth blood in the midst of it, that her time may come and maketh idol against herself to defile herself. Thou art become guilty in thy blood that thou hast shed, and hast defiled thyself in thine idols which thou hast made, and thou hast caused thy days to draw near, and art come even unto the years. Therefore have I made thee a reproach unto the heathen, and a mocking to all countries. Those that be near and those that be far from thee shall mock thee, which art infamous and much vexed. Behold, the princes of Israel, every one were in thee to their power to shed blood. In thee have they set light by father and mother, in the midst of thee have they dealt with by oppression with the stranger, in thee have they vexed the fatherless and the widow. Thou hast despised mine holy things, and hast profaned my Sabbaths. In thee are men that carry tales to shed blood, and in thee they eat upon the mountains. In the midst of thee they commit lewdness. In thee have they discovered their father's nakedness, and in thee have they humbled her that was set apart for pollution. And one hath committed abomination with his neighbor's wife, and another hath lewdly defiled his daughter-in-law, and another in thee hath humbled his sister and his father's daughter. In thee have they taken gifts to shed blood. Thou hast taken usury and increase, and thou hast greedily gained thy neighbors by extortion, and hast forgotten me, saith Adonai Elohim. Behold, therefore I have smitten mine hand against thy dishonest gain, which thou hast made, and at thy blood which hath been in the midst of thee. Can thine heart endure, or can thine hands be strong, in the days that I shall deal with thee? I, Jehovah, have spoken it, and will do it. And I will scatter thee among the heathen, and disperse thee in countries, and I will consume thy filthiness out of thee. And thou shalt take thine inheritance in thyself in the sight of the heathen, and thou shalt know that I am Jehovah. And the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All they are brass, and tin, and iron, and lead in the midst of the furnace. They are even the dross of silver. Therefore thus saith Adonai Elohim, because ye are all become dross, behold, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem. As they gather silver and brass, and iron, and lead, and tin into the midst of the furnace, to blow the fire upon it, to melt it, so will I gather you in mine anger and my fury, and I will leave you there, and melt you. Yea, I will gather you, and blow upon you in the fire of my wrath, and ye shall be melted in the midst thereof. As silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, so shall ye be melted in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I, Jehovah, have poured out my fury upon you. And the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto her, Thou art the land that is not cleansed nor rained upon in the day of indignation. There is a conspiracy of our prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion ravening the prey. They have devoured souls, they have taken the treasure and precious things. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. Her priests have violated my law, and have profaned mine holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and profane, neither have they showed difference between the unclean and clean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them. Her princes in the midst thereof are like wolves ravening the prey, to shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. And her prophets have daubed them with untempered mortar, seen vanity and divine lies unto them, saying, Thus saith Adonai Elohim, when Jehovah hath not spoken. The people of the land have used oppression, exercised robbery, and have vexed the poor and needy. Yea, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully. And I sought for a man among them that should make up a hedge and stand a gap before me in the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. Therefore have I poured out all my indignation upon them, and have consumed them with the fire of my wrath. Even their own way have I recompensed upon their heads, saith Adonai Elohim. Okay, and here's the daily promise. This is the message which we have heard of him, and declare unto you, that Elohim is light, and in him is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. In their reflection, I quote, "Here lies the believer's assurance that the light of God will permeate even this dark world. Even more, God is that very light. The believer ought hold his truth tightly, despite the most tumultuous circumstance. Not all is dark, lost, or evil." End quote. But I agree with that, but we have to be the light in the darkness. We're in some really dark times right now. Really dark, evil, and negative times. So now more than ever, we all have to be strong. We all have to turn to God, put God first, live for him, and rely on him and his strength. God is in control. God is always with us. We have to be mindful of God. So, I don't mean to rant. We have to be the light in these dark times and help others see the light. So let's pray. Dear Jehovah, our Elohim, our Abba, thank you so much for this day, and thank you that we're able to read your word. Thank you for all that you've done, all that you're doing, all that you will do. I pray, Lord, that you will give us discernment to rightly divide your word of truth, and help us keep what we read in our hearts and our minds. Please lead us and guide us in your ways. Show us your path. And I pray in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, listening. I hope you have a good evening, morning, night, wherever you're at. And as always, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. God bless. See you guys next time. And remember, put God first in everything you do. See you later.